Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, whiskey drinkers, no matter where you reside on the planet Earth. This is the Mad Mix Whiskey Review number 109. Um, Obviously, Lagavulin 16, very famous whiskey. It gets a 43%. Obviously, it's 16 years old. Very famous Islays whiskey. It's been around for a extremely long time. I got to buddy you up with a interesting story. Me and Kathleen were up at the hotel up in Maine. I picked this up in Maine. I found it much cheaper up in Maine than I could in my home state. And I go out to the parking lot to have a cigarette because you can't smoke in a hotel room. And there's a nice guy. We had seen him for a day or two before. He's cooking his meals at the back of a truck. He's a family man. He was there with his wife and two kids. Obviously, Kathleen and I's kids are long since grown, and they don't want to go on vacation with us old crusties, trust me. So I go outside to have a cigarette, and he's having a bottle of scotch. He's cooking dinner on the back of his truck bed he's cooking some steaks, he's cooking this, that, and he's got a bottle of scotch. He's got a glass of scotch, I mean to say. And it looked just like this. So I'm like, oh, you having a nice drink? What are you having? He said, oh, I'm having a scotch. And I said, oh, what's scotch? Because, I'm a Scotch fan. He goes, oh, it's a smoky one. And he's from Quebec, Canada. And I'm sorry I can't remember his name. I did learn his first name, but I can't remember it. And I'm like, oh, it's a smoky whiskey. I said, I got a smoky whiskey in the hotel room. So I go back inside. I grab the Lagavulin, and I bring it out. And sure as shit, he's drinking a bottle of Lagavulin 16, and we both had a good laugh over it. So we both sat out there shooting the shit until his food was cooked, and he had to go back in and talk to his family and enjoyed a couple of drinks. Talked about where we were from. I think he probably comes to Maine and New Hampshire pretty often because a lot of people from Quebec come down to Maine and New Hampshire to vacation. I don't think a whole lot of people from New Hampshire and Maine or anywhere in New England go up to Quebec to vacation, but perhaps some do. But he was an extremely nice guy, but it was just a funny story. I was like, oh, let me go get my smoky whiskey. Maybe we both happen to have the same one. So we did not get a chance to try different smoky whiskeys, but we got a good chuckle out of the fact that a guy from Quebec and a guy from Rhode Island met up in Maine, and we both had a bottle of Lagavulin 16. And with all that being said, you can see it's got a good color, got a good age statement. And I'd appreciate a little more proof points, especially for what Lagavulin's offering right now. But hey, the glass isn't even 2 feet from my face, and I can smell the smoke coming out of it. If you don't know about Lagavulin, it's an Islays whiskey. It's an old Islays whiskey. It's smoky as fuck. It's old as fuck. And it's expensive as fuck. So with all that being said, I know what I'm going to get. I've had probably 10 bottles of Lagavulin in my life. I love it. If it was cheaper, I'd buy it more often. But I've had a bunch of it. Let's get the nose right up in there. Ooh, you're getting the smoke, but right off the rip, I'm getting more of a sweetness and a fruit. To be honest with you, this is my first glass of it tonight. I thought you can get more of the smoke when it's away from your face. When you put it up in your nostrils, there's some smoke. There's like a very nice fruity sweetness to it. Oh, such a good whiskey. I've heard a lot of people complain. I've told you guys before I subscribe to the Whiskey Bothy on YouTube. Ralphie is his name. Whiskey Bothy is the name of the channel. And he's a very honest guy. He'll have at some of my favorite distilleries like Lagavulin, Oban, Bunnahabhain. And he talks about how they used to be much better distilleries back in the day. And I can't argue with him. Perhaps they were. But I wasn't drinking scotch back in the day. I didn't really get into scotch till about COVID time, maybe a little bit before COVID time, is when I really got into a scotch jag. And so I can't really tell you what older versions of these whiskeys taste like. All I can tell you now is, that I've had them in the last 5 years or so, 6 years tops. And I can only tell you what I know from what I taste and smell from what they're making nowadays. But I do absolutely love it. I mean, the nose is sweet fruitness, hints of smoke, but I know it's coming on the palate. If you've ever had Lagavulin before, I mean, look at how beautiful that is. It doesn't say, I'm not sure if Lagavulin's a Diageo product. It probably is. I can't tell you. I don't feel like zooming in and figuring out whether they say they're natural colored and non-chill filtered. Don't particularly care. It's not as much smoke that I know is coming on the palate, but let's have the palate. Oh, on the palate. It's not as much smoke as I expected. It's probably less smoky than an Ardbeg or a Lafroig, and especially a Port Charlotte. But that's these older Islay whiskeys. The older they get, the more they shed the smoke, even though they keep a bunch of it, and you start getting real good barrel characteristics. Oh, the nose is just fruit, sweetness, hints of smoke. So gentle. So gentle. The nose in this is so gentle. So subtle. Oh, I fucking love it. All right, one more sip and we're going to wrap this up. Had a smoke on the palate for sure. You're still getting that fruity sweetness coming through. It's just a delicate, beautiful whiskey. Way too expensive. So with all that being spoken, this is the Mad Mix Whiskey Review number 109, Lagavulin 16. You don't like Islay whiskey, you don't like the smoke, you're not going to like this. You don't like spending $90 in a bottle, you're not going to like this. If you do like a very good, refined, smoky, fruit characteristic whiskey that just goes down like a dream, even that guy I met from Quebec up in Maine, we were both talking about this. You could drink this shit all night. This is a dangerous whiskey. The only thing that keeps it from being super dangerous is that you can't hardly afford it. It's just way too expensive. I mean, is it worth what it is? Absolutely. So, is it worth buying all the time? Only if you're rich. You know what I mean? Would I like to be able to buy it all the time? Oh, I would love to have a bottle of this every week. On top of a bunch of bottles of other stuff every week. Unfortunately, this is at least a $90 to $100 bottle here in the States. I happen to get it cheaper up in Maine. Here it's over 90. Up there, I think it was like 89 or something like that. I don't, it might have even been on sale. Every once in a while up in Maine and New Hampshire, you'll find them put some good shit on sale. And when you can find it for a more reasonable price, I would suggest you pick it up. But Lagavulin needs no introduction. This is an old, well-established, well-known, very good whiskey. It's got the smoke. If you want smoke, I'm not going to argue with you about who's got the best smoke. But in my opinion, Lagavulin 16 is the premier Islay whiskey. You may disagree, and that's fine. I've drinking plenty of Ardbeg. I've drinking plenty of Lafroig. I haven't had a bottle of Port Charlotte, mostly because it's super expensive, probably as much as Lagavulin. And I don't know if I'm ready to pull the trigger on that kind of price for a whiskey I never drank. Maybe at some point, if I find a slight bargain on Port Charlotte, I'll get it. But in the meantime, if given the choice between a expensive Islay whiskey I haven't drank and one that I know I enjoy, I'm always going back to one I enjoy. Never did a review on this. What would I give this? I'd give it like an 8.9. It's, I'm not going to take points off of it for the price of this thing. This is so good. I mean, look at the age statement. You get a 16-year Islay whiskey. It's not as smoky as some of the other ones because it's got the age statement. It's shedding its smoke after all these years, but it's starting to get more of that barrel refined sweetness and fruit flavor to it. Lafroig is so good. I ain't gonna front on this. It gives it an 8.9. Fuck it, I'll give it a fucking 11. I don't care. I think it's great. I just can't afford to buy it all the time. So with that being said, hey, love yourself. Always love and respect yourself. Love and respect your family and friends. And love Lagavulin 16. This stuff is fucking amazing. It really is. I don't care. I know some people claim it's not as good as it used to be. Well, then it must have been used to be fucking spectacular, because it's still fucking amazing right now. So whatever. If you see it, buy it. If you like smoky whiskey, enjoy it. This is some of Islays' finest Scotch whiskey. And that ain't no bullshit. Later.